Hi, I'm Dr. Amber Reed from Indiana Wesleyan University, and I specialize in early childhood education. A couple of weeks ago, I had the honor of presenting at one of the pre-conference sessions for the first time that it had focused on early childhood at the Impact Conference in Carmel. During that time, I was really struck by just how many administrators attended the pre-conference session and noted that they were a little confused sometimes about what to do with early childhood in their building. I did this presentation in a longer version across different topics that I had been asked to overview. This evening, I wanted to offer you the opportunity to take some of these ideas in a very quick overview that we'll do, and to see if maybe if you are interested in going deeper with some of these ideas and to have support as you are growing and designing quality early childhood experiences and settings in your buildings and in your schools. So, things that we may want to talk about might be how you feel like your early childhood program or your early childhood teachers or the early childhood children are kind of like an orange among your apples. If you're still in the same zip code, we're all fruit, but the orange just seems to be out of place. And so I know we're going to do similar things with it, but it still seems to be that I need a different skill set or tool or strategy to be able to really utilize and understand that orange. And so if you're feeling that way, maybe it is that we need to talk about classroom management in an early childhood setting, or what content looks like, or how pedagogy is different, or how assessment practices are organized and delivered, about the role of family engagement versus family involvement, and about how their environments are quite different. We may also want to explore, maybe you have questions about the balance of the three quality components of early childhood settings, about the difference in perspective when parents are first teachers, early childhood educators are second, and environment as third teachers. And what does it mean to have a quality relationship with parents, a quality educator who specializes in early childhood, and a quality early learning environment? There are also lots of free and accessible state and national resources that can assist you with understanding quality rating systems of your program. And so we have many here in our state, a lot of wonderful, amazing resources that can come alongside you, as well as national resources. And so if you're struggling to learn or to figure out how to evaluate your educators or your program or the classroom, we can discuss what are some options for you or what might be great resources for you to access. There are also early learning foundations which mirror and dovetail and transition beautifully now into the academic K-12 standards. A few years ago, if you were in the early childhood business before 2014, you probably may have wrestled with foundations and knowing how to sort them out because they were fairly cumbersome, although quality, cumbersome to use. In 2014, we had the revision of foundations that have made them extremely user-friendly and provide us wonderful information on all of the disciplines, including what disciplines are considered early childhood, such as approaches to play and learning, alongside English and math, social emotional alongside science and social studies. So if you're wondering about what content or what does it mean to have content delivered in early childhood and what does it mean to be aligned with academic standards, this would be a great topic for you to explore. As we talked about the environment before, there are certainly lots of things to consider that are unique and special about early childhood environments. And a lot of it happens indoor, like we see in this beautifully modeled early childhood space. They are very unique, and while there is some overlap to elementary, they really, there are certain characteristics that are just the calling card of early childhood environments. But not only indoor environments, outdoor environments also play a very important role in early childhood development. And so when we talk about environment, if that is something that we would be interested in exploring together, it would not just be the indoor environment, but the outdoor as well. As I said, there are many resources that can help us gauge and monitor quality. And one of those are the environmental rating scales. And so if you have children in your building that are 2 or under, there is the infant toddler environment rating scale, or the ITERS. And if you have ages 3, 4, and 5 up to kindergarten, then there is the early childhood environmental rating scale, or the ECHRS. This is a standardized national rating scale that came out of the Carolinas and has been around for a very long time, very accepted by the profession, and aligns both to national accreditation bodies and also our state entities, including that our own Purdue's Paths to Quality system here in Indiana was specifically created to align to the ITERS and ECHRS. So this is a wonderful tool that you can learn how to use that can give you accurate and standardized readings and scores for things like space and furnishings, personal care routines, language and literacy, learning activities, interaction, and program structure. So if you're struggling to know how to evaluate a classroom or an educator in an early childhood classroom without using the traditional elementary or secondary tool that the rest of your teachers may be utilizing, this may be a great place for you to start. Last but not least, we have professional development. And everyone has next steps that they can always take in their professional development. There are lots of wonderful free state and national resources for early childhood professional development, and it's growing all the time. These resources could be things that we could explore for your educators, for your parents, or for your administration to be able to understand the landscape of early childhood and the nuances of what that means and how it's different than elementary. So I hope that some of these options or topics may be of interest to you that you would like to explore further and think about implementing, or how to support your early childhood educators or program in your school or classrooms. Some ideas of how we may be able to partner and operationalize our time together would be that I would be willing to come to one of the administrator or principal roundtable meetings, and I would think that we could go a bit deeper into a topic or two within a 90-minute time frame. So something like the ITERS or the ECHRS to go through would probably take the full 90 minutes. But if we wanted to talk about perhaps some of the classroom management differences, or along with professional development opportunities, that could probably be covered in a single 90-minute session. The other option that may be of interest, and at the roundtable again, that may be something that we just want to have a conversation of what may be of interest to groups of administrators in the future to dive into on a more individual or small group basis. Or we could run a half-day session and have a half day where we cover this PowerPoint in depth and the information in it, so that you understand what those tools are. You can bring some of your own tools and we can share and discuss and revisit and revise some of the practices maybe that you're having questions with or struggling with in your building and classrooms. The last thing is that perhaps following a half-day session, we could arrange regional small group meetings where I could come and we could have an hour at a time for several principals within a region or several administrators to get together and to talk specifically about tools that you're using, procedures that you are implementing, practices that you're being asked to consider. And so that could be a more personal one-on-one time that is specific to your circumstance. But I really suggest that these regional meetings only happen after a half-day session, so that we can all be on a similar page with the foundational information, and then the regional small group meetings can be focused on actually digging in and getting into the meat of the specifics with your circumstance. So if you would like to have more information or discuss this, I'm sure the faculty and staff there this evening would be more than happy to talk with you about next steps in arranging the next steps of our partnership. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening and God bless.